These players were supposed to be world beaters, now they are trash. They have fallen off the face of the earth. Let's start off with Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané was once unplayable. At Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, he was electric, a left-footed winger on the left-hand side who didn't care about all the inverted trends. He just ran past people, pure pace, brilliant dribbling, and underrated finishing. In the 17-18 and the 18-19 season, he combined for over 50 DA across all competitions. He scored in derbies, he tortured fullbacks, he made Pep Guardiola trust in young players. You see this front line? If you see this front line, just know you're losing 4-0. He was just 22 and already looked like the best winger in the world. But the saying, what goes up must come down, has never been more true for Leroy Sané. In August 2019, in the Community Shield against Liverpool, Sané tore his ACL, and just like that, a season gone, the momentum gone, the rhythm broken. He returned mid-2020, but something was missing. City had evolved, Foden was rising, Mahrez was thriving, and Sané, for all his skill, looked hesitant. He did not look the same player as he was. But that summer he made a move, a fresh new start to Bayern Munich. It felt like a fairy tale, a German star coming back to dominate the Bundesliga, but the fairy tale never arrived. Sané arrived, but not the fairy tale. Leroy Sané was inconsistent from day one. One game he would score a banger and leave defenders for the dust. The next game he would disappear. Fans grew frustrated. Managers rotated him. He played on the left, then on the right, then as a 10, then as a striker. He played more positions than Prime Tiana, but he never locked down a position. Confidence became his enemy. He stopped taking risks. The directness was gone. He received the ball and hesitate. The spark that made him special was gone faster than Sadio Mane's hairline. Even with flashes of brilliance, he never took control. He became a squad player, not a star. For Germany, it was even worse. He was supposed to be Germany's main man. He was supposed to be their star. But then Musiala and Wirtz came in and took that spot faster than you could say Guntenbach. When he played for Germany, he was bang average, as if Sané was waiting for someone to actually take over his reign because he knew he wasn't meant for that. And now at the age of 29, this man is going to be playing in the Turkish league for Galatasaray. This man is washed. If you told me in 2017 that Leroy Sané at the age of 29 will be playing for Galatasaray, I would have slapped you in the face and tell you to get the hell away from me, you nerd. That's how much confidence I had in Leroy Sané back in 2017. I bought his stocks. I really thought this man would become one of the best players in the world right now. What's sad is that Leroy Sané had the tools to become world class, and to be fair to him, for a while he was world class. For a short period, he was world class, but the fire that once made him unstoppable somewhere along the way went out. Leroy Sané. Number 2, Mason Mount. Mason Mount's story begins in Portsmouth, England, where a young boy obsessed with football took his first steps into the Chelsea Academy at the age of 6. By his teens, he was regarded as one of the most technically gifted players in the system. He wasn't flashy like some of his peers in the academy, but his work rate, footballer IQ, and the composure on the ball made him stand out. At the age of 18, he went on loan to Vitesse in the Netherlands, a place where many Chelsea loanees fade into oblivion. But Mount, he didn't fade. He lit up the Eredivisie with 9 goals and 8 assists, and later he went back to Chelsea with new confidence. Then he went on loan to Derby County under a young manager named Frank Lampard. Mount was the heartbeat of Derby's midfield, leading them into the Championship playoff final. His development was ahead of schedule, and his maturity was beyond his years. So when Lampard took over Chelsea in 2019, there was no hesitation. Mount would be a part of the first team. Many fans were skeptical. Many fans were saying a club built on the success of superstars is now handing the keys to young players like Mason Mount. But they had no choice because Chelsea had a transfer ban, so they had to bring in youth like Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, and Reece James. Even with fans being skeptical, Mason Mount didn't flinch. Week after week he delivered, pressing relentlessly, linking up play, even scoring key goals. He became Chelsea's best player. He also became an England starter, and most importantly, he had his own TikTok trend. Bad boy and these, y'all get it. In 2021, that was Mason Mount's peak. He started in the Champions League final against Manchester City, and it was his assist that set up Kai Havertz for the winning goal. At just 22, he won a Champions League title, and he was also Chelsea's player of the season. It felt like this was the beginning of something special. But then, reality hit out of nowhere. Chelsea as a club began to lose its identity. Managers changed left, right, and center. Actually, what am I talking about? That's their identity. Styles shifted. Players came in and out like a revolving door. Mason Mount, once the center of everything, was now being pushed around tactically. Left wing, midfield, right forward, wherever there was a gap, he was playing. His performances started to dip. Fans began to criticize him. The effort was still there, but the impact wasn't there. He wasn't playing like he was playing before. And what also didn't help was that he had world-class players around him him, in a span of 2 years he has shit players around him. But what broke the camel's back came with contract talks. Mason Mount wanted to stay, but he also wanted to feel valued, as he was being paid $80K a week for a player of his caliber, which is nonsense. Negotiations dragged on, played out into the media, and next thing you know, they couldn't agree on a wage and Manchester United would swoop in and buy Mason Mount. In 2023, he moved to Manchester United. It was meant to be a fresh start, a new challenge at a club that believed in him. His dad said, "Here we are, boy, here we are." But sadly for Mason Mount, nothing went right. When he arrived, he missed preseason and struggled to adapt to Erik ten Hag's system. When he finally played, he looked like a shell of himself. No rhythm, no confidence, no defined role. What made matters worse is that Manchester United's midfield became overcrowded. A young star in Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes who was untouchable. Mason Mount was found himself on the bench more often than not. The narrative flipped. He was no longer the future, just an expensive passenger. And so in a span of 2 seasons, Mason Mount went from Chelsea's golden boy and England's midfield hope to a forgotten figure in Manchester United. Injuries hurt him, yes, but the real tragedy is how quickly the game moved on from him. But Mason Mount still has his future ahead of him. He's not like Leroy Sané who's finished. No, Mason Mount is 26, still has his prime years ahead of him, and he has an actual coach now in Ruben Amorim. When Ten Hag bought him, he just bought him for the sake of buying him. He did not know where to play him. Now Ruben knows where to play him, so he still has a career. Next, let's talk about the most hated man in Barcelona. When Marc-Andre ter Stegen arrived in Barcelona in 2015, he came with a mission to become one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And he had been brilliant in the Bundesliga with Mönchengladbach, a modern goalkeeper with elite reflexes, calm feet, and ice in his veins. He was seen as the new wave of modern goalkeeper, comfortable with the feet, good distribution, and aggressive off the line. His first season at Barcelona was unique. Claudio Bravo started in La Liga and ter Stegen played in the cup competitions, and he made those nights count. He started in the Champions League runs, including big saves against Bayern Munich and Juventus, and at the age of 22, he had a Champions League, a La Liga, and a Copa del Rey. By 2016, he had the starting position. It was his, and for several seasons, he delivered. Barcelona's defense often led him exposed, but he bailed them out time and time again, not in big matches. Shot after shot, save after saves, there were stretches where you would genuinely call him one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He became one of the most consistent pieces in the chaotic of Barcelona. But then, cracks began to show. Remember how I said not in the big games? Well, this man has zero clutch genes whatsoever. Neuer, Buffon, Alisson, Courtois. What makes these guys great is that in the big games, they perform. Thibaut Courtois always turns up in the big games. In the Champions League final against Liverpool, he was on demon time, something ter Stegen cannot do to save his life. Here's a list of big matches where ter Stegen let Barcelona down in big matches. 1 against Roma. Remember that comeback, that Manolas comeback? Well, ter Stegen had a part to play with it. Look at this goal from Edin Dzeko. If he came off his line quicker, he could have saved that. Secondly, remember the Liverpool comeback? Well, ter Stegen also had the part to play with it. Remember the first goal where Origi scored? Well, guess what? He could have easily saved that baby shot from Henderson, but he parried it away straight to Origi. Even Suarez, his own teammate, was hating on him for a time period. I'm not gonna lie to you, as a rival fan, I never understood why Barcelona fans hate this man. But this season, I understand why they hate him. You're telling me after ter Stegen was out for the rest of the season due to injury, Barcelona hired a retired chain smoker, and this man was better than ter Stegen? You're telling me that? I'm sorry, but if a retired chain smoker outplayed David Raya, I would also hate on him. I understand why Barca fans now hate on him. And I also understand why Germany is still holding on to Neuer in goal, because they are scared of this man. They're scared of this man in the World Cup. Imagine ter Stegen in a World Cup final. I would honestly be scared myself. Germany are holding on to Neuer for dear life so that this demon does not sniff that #1 spot. Germany are praying for a youngster to take over other than this guy. Anyways, that's all I got. Please like, subscribe, and I also post TikToks, guys. Here's my TikTok. Go check it out.